on Good News with Twanda Black, where we're discovering some of the most inspiring trials to triumph stories and empowerment moments. Call up a friend and let them know it's time for some good news.
Hello and welcome to Good News with Twanda Black. I am your host. We talk with folks from all walks of life about their journey into their good news. How about that? So look, sit back, relax, and enjoy this next guest. Joining me today is JAVON Johnson. He is an award-winning actor, playwright, screenwriter, acting coach, Broadway actor, now a music person, a music producer, because you have your own record label. We're going to talk about that. And you're currently starring on Tyler Perry's The Oval. So how are you today? Thank you for joining us.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Tell us about your career. I was reading about you when I was, just kind of taking a look, and you've done a lot of work out there, actually.
Yeah. I've been a little over 20 years in the industry. Graduated master's program at University of Pittsburgh in 1999. So went to South Carolina State University, HBCU.
Right.
After graduating University of Pittsburgh, we went to City of Chicago to be a founding ensemble member of Congo Square Theatre Company, which is one of the prominent African American theater companies now in the nation. So just kept going from there. I mean, just grinding and working constantly, trying to get to where I am now and even get it and grow even farther.
So is that what you wanted to do when you were a kid?
Oh, absolutely not. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm from Anderson, South Carolina, and this is also the hometown of late great Chadwick Boseman, who was on Black Panther and some of the other iconic roles that he played. But this is an industrial community at the time. Young black kids like me, we didn't talk about being artists and actors. And I remember as a young boy, I used to watch the TV like it was another world that didn't really exist. It seemed like something that was tangible to me. It seemed like it was an outer space type of thing. And we didn't meet celebrities. Anybody on TV, we never saw them. Local celebrities for us was our local news anchors. That was the closest we got to somebody on TV. So most young black men were looking to go into the automotive industry, textile industry, all of the plant work. We put 30, 40, 50 years in. That's mostly what our parents did. Maybe some nursing. If anything with entertainment, it was either you wanted to be a rapper or you was in church singing. That was pretty much it. Other than sports, if you weren't going to go play college football or basketball or something, you pretty much was going to end up in the industrial industry or something. So that was the culture there. I lucked up into this because one of my friends were competing in the high school speech and debate tournaments, and one of the categories was duo acting, where you had to do a acting interpretation of a scene. And her partner dropped out of her mid-season, and she came to me. She only asked me not because she thought I had talent, but because I was like a high school clown. Like I just had the personality. And she was like, "Yeah, come do this. My partner dropped out on me," and she was all distraught. I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do it." I wasn't thinking anything about what it was. But we was doing a scene from A Raisin in the Sun. It was Benitha and Asaga scene. And you get adjudicated on these things individually. So her scorecard, I see her scorecard, and she sees mine. First few competitions, her scorecard looked great. Mine looked terrible. And I could see that she was getting disappointed in me because she was used to being competitive. And I was the reason why she wasn't competitive. She wasn't even placing in, top 3 anymore. And I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. And so one night, I didn't know what acting was. I was watching The Color Purple. And I had the script next to me, and I was watching The Color Purple. And I was watching Danny Glover as Mr. And I just looked at him, and it was one particular scene. He was doing something. I said, "Oh, that's what acting is. Whatever he's doing, that's what it is." And I said, "I got to do that." I didn't have any, coaching or I was just like, I just got to do what he's doing. And I just changed that. I went to that mindset. And long story short, that year we were state runner-up, and the following year we won the state championship.
Wow.
that was the closest I knew to anything. And even at that time, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to go off, I'm going to be an actor. I went to South Carolina State on a choir scholarship, not because I could sing, but because the choir teacher said, you're going to go to college. And I was like, I don't go to college. That's not what my family does. She was like, no, you're going to college. I guess she wanted me to go to college. I guess she saw something in me that I didn't see. So she got me a choir scholarship. And it wasn't long before I realized I can't stay on the choir for 4 years because I can't sing. But there was a big theater building called the Henderson Davis Theater on South Carolina State University that was right next to the music department. And I would look at this big building every day, and it felt like the building was calling me in there. And eventually I went inside eventually, and that was it. I got a theater scholarship and became the theater president.
Oh my God.
That was the start of my
That's a wonderful story. Oh my God. How awesome is that?
Yeah.
But now I bet when you go to Hendersonville, you're the star, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say.
So you mentioned the late great Chadwick Boseman, and tell us about Heaven, because I am so intrigued with that. I got to see it. Tell me about that.
Well, Heaven at the time was a short film script that I was writing, and I wanted to the impulse behind writing Heaven was I wanted to create a piece that for me I thought could make some noise in the festivals and bring some attention to me in the film world as a script writer. And that was the intentions, right? And also intended for Chadwick to play the lead role. However, when I gave Chadwick the script and he read it, he came back and he said, I want to direct this. And I said, no, man, I want you to play the lead role. So we went back and forth about, trying to play the lead role versus directing. He was like, no, man, I want to direct this. I was like, okay, cool, you can direct it. And we had the auditions and all that process. So he ended up directing. A lot of people don't know that Chadwick's real passion was to be a director.
That's right.
And he went to LA to pursue that. He was actually going to LA to get one of his screenplays that was an adaptation of his stage play, Deep Azure, adapted for screen and get his directing career going. But, sometimes God takes us on a different path to get us where we want to go. So he ended up blowing up as an actor. Unfortunately, he didn't get the chance for us to see his other skill set and his other talents as a visionary on the director side of things. But he ended up directing Heaven, and we spent a 3-day weekend in LA at some sleazy hotel. That was amazing because I went in there. We rented this hotel, and we went in and repainted the whole hotel room. I said, "Man, what we gonna do? How y'all get this back?" They said, "We just repaint it back." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "All right, bye." So I remember I'll tell you a funny part, funny conversation. Chadwick and I had on set. I was in the makeup room, which was another hotel room, and they're in there filming, and they say, "Hey man, Chadwick needs to talk to you." And I said, "What's up? Everything good?" I said, "No, he needs to talk to you." So I come out. We outside this hotel in the middle of the night, like I don't know, it was like probably 11:30 at night, LA, and it's a bad part of town. And so we out there talking. I said, "What's up, man?" He said, "Man, I've been looking at this moment, man. What do you think about this?" I could hear them working on the scene, right? This moment. He said, "What do you think about this moment, man? When they get into a tussle, do you think you think people would laugh if her wig came off while they're fighting?" I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, you think they would laugh? Would it be funny if a wig came off if they were fighting in the middle of the fight?" I said, "Yeah, man, they're gonna laugh." He said, "No, you think?" I said, "Nah, bro, if the wig come off in the middle of the fight, I don't care how dramatic it is. Oh no, I say people gonna laugh." He was like, and so literally we was walking through the fight. Like he and I were in the parking lot of this hotel. He was like, let's do it. Let's walk through it. Because Chad was also a trained fighter. And so we out there in the parking lot. He's like, "Okay, what's this?" Well, he grabbing me and we going around and the wig fell off right here. I said, nah. So we ended up not having the wig come out during the fight, but we just had some wonderful times like that.
That's a great memory, though.
Yeah, we had a lot of wonderful times like that. But yeah.
So how did it do? How did it do in the film festivals?
It did really well. It won. I can't remember the awards, but it did. I think 3 or 4 of the major ones. I can't remember them. It's been a few years now at this point, but it did really well. It definitely did what it needed to do, which became a project that people had to talk about.
Good.
at the festival. So yeah.
So I mean, are do regular people get to see it? How do you get to see Heaven?
No, not right now. We didn't do like a real release of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also adapted it into a feature that I'm working on getting produced. So at some point, you guys will get to see the feature version of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is awesome. That's awesome. So talk about your role in the Oval, what you're doing right now as the butler.
Yeah. I play Richard Halson, who's the head butler at the White House, and he's a man of integrity, a man of service. He's ex-military. He's very family-focused man. I love Richard because he's a man who's caught in a whirlwind of madness, and he is one of those characters on the show who's always trying to hold things together, and particularly his family. And he has so many things around him that's going wrong, and he's caught in the middle of it. Then things happen with his marriage with Nancy, if you've been watching the show. So he's been hit with a lot, but he's still a man who's trying to keep a grip on sanity in an insane world.
So when you read the script for this role, did you think this is me, or like a part of it was kind of you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One, being a father and being a family man myself, and always, when you look at the son Barry and trying to keep him in track and save his life constantly and keep him from making young childish decisions constantly. And I know what that world is like. He's trying to be a protector of your children, and I've had kids that are emotionally reactive and not logically reactive. They don't think first all the time. And so Barry's a lot like that, where he's just emotionally reacting to things, and it's like, wait a minute, son, you can't, and being a man of integrity and a man who's dedicated to whatever he commits to. I think there's a lot of qualities about Richard that I related to right away.
Is that how you choose your roles, or do you ever look at a role and say, I've never done that. That is so not me, and I want to try that? Have you done that?
I have done that. It's one part is always challenging yourself as an artist so you can grow, staying out of your comfort zone. You don't want to always choose things that are just comfortable for you and the things you want to do.
And you get typecast.
You get typecast too. I mean, one time I was playing a lot of preachers. I had to tell my agents I won't accept any more preacher roles, because at some point I saw that I was getting locked into a certain lane, and I don't even know why I was playing all these preachers, but I was doing a lot of them, and I said, well, we're going to stop doing preacher roles for right now, just so I could be seen in other types.
Yeah.
You don't want to get boxed in. But you also want to find roles that stretch you, that are not so easy when you read them. You're like, okay, the kind of roles where you say, can I even do this?
Right.
You want to take those leaps sometimes. So I do that as well. But also, to some degree, it has to be something that I agree with in some, because you don't want to do anything either. You don't want to be desperate in the industry and feel like you just got to say yes to everything, because there's power in no in this business. So you just have to use your discernment, what you feel is right for you in your career and where you want to go.
Okay, so we're going to switch gears, because you have it's not switching gears, because we're going to talk about Sanctified, a gospel music comedy stage play that you're producing. And when is the tour going to happen? Is it already on tour?
Well, we did one show in Watkinsville, Georgia, which is near Athens, Georgia, which went really well. We're in the state right now of putting the actual tour dates together.
Okay.
So dates will be announced soon. Make sure you guys follow us on our social media platforms. We'll be making those announcements about Sanctified Tour that'll be happening. Right now, it looks like we'll be going out in March, getting the tour started. So fingers crossed on that. But that's pretty much.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a challenge in the middle of a pandemic. What do you do? How do you play this thing? But tell us, what is Sanctified about?
Sanctified is a hilarious gospel musical comedy about a church. It's inspired by my small church in Anderson, South Carolina. And one of the things I noticed, because I traveled a lot, because I would go away at times and come back, I had a different perspective on the church because I could always see the changes that was happening. Sometimes when you're in something constantly, you can't see how it's evolving.
That's true.
But because I was stepping in and out of the church, I would always notice the changes right away. And one of the things that happened over the years is we had a young pastor come into a very old traditional church. And he had some young, youthful ideas, a different perspective. And he had a vision that the old folks in the church was not going for. And it was all good intentions. However, it was interesting to me to see the old versus the new, tradition versus evolving.
Contemporary,
change. Yeah. And it was one of those things where it just wasn't mixing right. And I thought it was a little sad because the youth in the church didn't have a voice. There was some point where the youth were coming, and then all of a sudden there was no youth in the church at all. And I was like, wow, where did they go? Well, they didn't have a voice in the church.
Right.
So it was nothing there to keep them there. So Sanctified was inspired by those dynamics in my church. And I said, well, I got to write something about this and about the personalities in the church, because there's a lot of funny people.
Oh God, yes.
in my church. So that's why it became a comedy, because I was like, this is hilarious. But the subject matter, the issue is very serious in terms of the dynamic of all Black churches sometimes. And so this young pastor comes in, he wants to use the next revival as an opportunity to build a congregation. He's a little flawed, but he doesn't realize it because his dream is a little too ambitious, because he's a little selfish and trying to be one of the mega bishops and aspiring to be like the Creflos and the Bishop Jakes. And so he has to learn a little bit of lesson about his focus. And so that's something he has to learn. And the elders have to learn that sometimes you gotta let the reins go. I mean, tradition is great, but life doesn't get stuck in one place.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So those are,
and that could be any church USA, any Black church USA, probably white churches, probably all churches.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
This show was done in Nashville, Tennessee, several years ago, and there was a convention, I think a Mormon convention or something like that. It was happening, and our eyes lit up because there was this busload of white people that came, and we didn't know. We was like, what are white people doing here? Do they know why they're here? And and he was like, they was just coming in, and I was nervous because I had never seen a white audience watch the show. So I sat in the back of the theater because I wanted to see, and I was amazed by how these white folks were on the edge of their seat. They was trying to sing the songs. I said, y'all don't even know these songs. Why y'all trying to sing them? And they were laughing. And then so at the end of the show, we're talking to them in the lobby. I asked them, how'd you guys get here? He was like, oh yeah, we're at a convention and we saw something in the thing about entertainment, and this sounds like church. So we said, let's go to see this little thing, this little church play. So they didn't know what they was going to see. But they started talking about, oh, that's my deacon at my church. Oh, that's my pastor. We got this thing going on right now. Oh, I know that. I was like, oh, so these people in your church too. And they was like, we going through this right now. I was like, oh wow, okay. So I guess it's a bit of a universality to the story. Yes,
absolutely. So we're going to definitely keep in touch about that. So now I am going to switch gears a little bit and talk about Authority Music Group. You are now in the record business. So talk about that. And why did you get in the record business?
You know, when I talked about growing up in Anderson years ago, you was either going to be a rapper, singing in church. Well, I was actually an aspiring rapper at the time in high school. I was actually rapping in local bands. I was touring. I was going to bars when they had the live to get me in because I was underage, just so I could perform. And started opening a couple of shows. Had a contract offer at one point, and I saw very early how brutal the music industry is. And I think I was in 11th grade when I said I'm not going to pursue that, because I had a couple of experiences and I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this. I don't know what this industry is like, but I'm in a small town. I'm getting it like this already. I'm like, oh no, I'm not. So I gave up on pursuing that as a career option. But I did not know that my son would become invested in that as a rapper himself. So we discovered that he had talent for it, and this was probably about 4 years ago. He was going to the studio all the time. So he was going to the studio, and I was like, "What are you doing in these studios?" And I said, let me hear what you got. And he let me hear it. And I would hear all these rappers on these songs. And I said, you're the only one I really think have a lot of potential. I said, I'm not saying that as your dad. I'm saying that as another artist. And I asked him, I said, is this something you really want to do? Because, you know, he was a star athlete. He was a star football player at high school. Get recruited by like Princeton and Yale, and but he didn't want to go to play college football. So I'm like, what are you going to do with your life? So he said, this is what I want to do. This is my voice. That's all I got to say. And I was like, okay, well, let me help you. So originally it started out with me managing him. But again, I'm not necessarily knee deep in the music industry. Although I know of it and know people in it, I didn't really work in that lane. So I said, let me manage. I said, I'll manage you to a point where I can't manage you anymore. And then it got to that point, found him a manager. And then I realized, you know, I can't be hands off on his career. So that sparked the record label. And I got with my childhood friend who's also from Anderson, South Carolina, Kelchis Lindsay, who also went to South Carolina State University. And I said, hey, he worked in radio and he's been involved in music over the years. I said, well, let's start this label. It's something we always wanted to do. I always wanted to be in music and entertainment, period. And so we agreed to start the label, but it was sparked by my son's dream to be a successful rapper.
That's a good dad. So how's his career going? What's happening?
It's going great. We're just getting started. We had to groom him, and because I believe in artist development. I don't believe in putting people out there just because. I got to make sure that people are ready, because that's give yourself the preparation and knowledge is one of the two important components to give yourself the best shot at having a real career. We don't want a one-hit wonder type of artist. We want an artist that's in for the long haul. So we spent at least about a year just developing him, just getting him in the studio. He has probably 100 songs now.
Wow.
We're just at the point now where we're going to push him out there and get him on tours and get some releases. And we're working on getting an EP together now to release that. So he had to work, though. He had to put the work in. We had to see if he was serious about it, see how committed he was to it. Because I don't like to waste my time, waste my money.
That's right.
Any of that. All my knowledge, because knowledge is very, there's a lot of value in your knowledge. And so I'm very particular about how I use those things. And it didn't matter that he was my son. It mattered that he was a dedicated, serious artist with the potential and the talent and the passion to build on. So
that's right.
Yeah,
that's great. How many of us get to help our children in their careers?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot. Not a lot. Sometimes we just have to let them go. But one more thing. Bear Fruit Conservatory, and I bet that's one of your probably proudest things that you do at this point. It
is one of the proudest and one of the hardest.
Yeah,
because it's always difficult. It's unfortunate to say this, but most of the difficult challenges I had, the most difficult challenges I've had in my career in terms of building things, is always been working at home. And I don't know why that's the case, because sometimes it's just easy to go somewhere else and do things. And it may just be that people are too familiar with it. Maybe they just know too much about you.
Yeah, there's no honor, because they, that's just old Bobo from over here. That's just
absolutely.
Like Javon grew up in the hood, right?
And I get that all the time. All the time. Yeah. But what happens is, there's a lot of layers that are involved with that mindset, because one, it's a lack of respect for your accomplishments.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to oftentimes give you the space to share the knowledge that you have, because sometimes they receive it as, oh, well, you think you better, or you think I don't know. And, it's just a lot of things that happen, which makes it very difficult to work at home. But I also know, like I said earlier, the TV seemed like another world to me when I was young, and it wasn't something that seemed tangible to me. I used to come home and I'd be in Walmart and people say, "Hey," I always laugh because they always trying to figure out where they know me from, and then I just wait and let it take its process, and then they finally figure it out. And then when they figure it out, the first thing they would say is, "What are you doing here?" And it used to take me aback when they would ask that, because I'm like, I'm from here. This is my hometown. But then I had to process that in my mind. I said, you know what? That's why I need to be here.
That's right. That disconnect.
Yes, that's why I need to be here, because if I can stand in front of you and you can go home and turn the TV on and see me on the TV, now you're not like that little kid I was, who only saw local news anchors as celebrities. Now you're like, this dude is in Walmart shopping on aisle 7. in my hometown. So that to me makes it a tangible thing for you. Like, because if I want you to say, if I can do it, you can do it too. Some people get insulted by that statement, but I want you to say, well, dang, if JAVON can do this, and I can do it too. And my response is, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
You can do it too. You know what I mean? So I had to adjust my thinking in regards to the reactions I was getting. But also I said, well, there's got to be a lot more Chadwick Bosemans and JAVON Johnsons and people like that who are in this community who are here lying dormant and don't have permission to dream and don't even know how to dream or don't even know how to go about building their dreams. I said they're here. We just don't have a means to cultivate them. We don't have a means to give them permission, and we don't have a means to point them in which way to go. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to be, when I move back to South Carolina, I said, if I'm going to be here, I should build here.
That's
and give something that aspiring artists have an opportunity, because everybody can't get in the car and, you know, drive all over the place, fly to New York and go to LA and try to get all the training and learn the industry. Everybody don't have the opportunities to do that economically, or whatever your family situation is. Everybody can't just pick up and go. And so I said, well, let me build something that people can just be groomed in the state of South Carolina and give them a chance to really have a shot at a career in this industry. So that was the impetus behind that, and it's been going well so far. We're building very fast, and it's still a lot of work, a lot of hard work.
What ages are you teaching? All ages or just children?
We're teaching all ages. I think the youth go as young as 8, I believe. There's a couple of teachers that I trained up who didn't even know they was being trained to teach. But they're wonderful teachers now who teach the kids and teenagers and some of the other courses. And then I teach as well. We have April Kelly, who a lot of Atlanta folks and South Carolina folks know. She's very connected in the network, who teaches our voice classes. So we have a great staff in terms of training.
Very cool.
Yeah, we take all ages, from young to old. Yeah.
Just great work, and your discernment and your wisdom. You have a lot of wisdom as far as what you're doing and what you're bringing to life, you know. So tell everybody how they can reach out to you, how they can find you. We know we can find you on Tyler Perry's Owl.
Yeah.
How they can find you for Sanctified, how they can find you for the Authority Music Group, for Barefruit Conservatory, all the other great things that you do.
You can find all about Barefruit Conservatory at www.barefruitsc.com, and Bear is BEAR. And you can follow me on all platforms at I am JAVON Johnson, but also JAVON Johnson Productions on Instagram, was where you find out most of the information about Sanctified and their productions. You can also go to the website, javonjohnson.net as well.
All right. Well, thank you for spending time with me. It's been a pleasure. God bless you. You know, we'll be following you. We can't wait to see Sanctified here in Atlanta. I know you're coming to Atlanta, so we're excited about it. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Twanda. I appreciate it.
All right. Oh, great guest. Look, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at twandablack@thepgnetwork.org or goodnews@thepgnetwork.org. You can watch the show via PGN TV and on all digital streaming apps, or visit pgntv.org. Hey, I'll see you next time with some great news, some good news. God bless you.